Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Seuss, also known as Citizen Seuss, doing my research to bring you a comprehensive approach to your own health and also to develop a real, effective, and comprehensive understanding of the ways to, in a healthy way, deal with COVID-19 and in a sane way and in a way that's dynamic, that's beginning to include a lot of the emerging research. So I'm here at your disposal to help you with this. I'm going to keep myself in the corner right now. And and really, today's topic is simply nasal breathing. How is it going to promote health and help you fight COVID-19? So I'm going to go right to it because so much of modern life has really been about developing habits that are counterintuitive to a good health. I mean, we've developed things like high fructose corn syrup, for instance, which, way back when in the caveman days might have been great to give us the kind of energy we need to get away. But now it's actually almost genetically and chemically engineered to create hormone responses in our body, addictive sugar responses in our body, and it's actually having the opposite effect. It's actually taking out the legs from underneath our health and actually making us less capable, less able to deal with challenges and to be stronger people. So, what are some of the practices that we can do to actually not only address the COVID-19 situation as an opportunity to learn to deal with microbes in general, but also to improve our health no matter if we're being challenged by viruses or microbes at all? Nasal breathing is one of those necessary things that you're just not taught about in school for the most part. Some people take yoga classes and you will see it there. Usually breathing in through the nose, holding the breath, and then breathing out through the mouth. That's basically what yoga breathing is. And that's the same kind of breathing recommended here. And we'll see why that's the best way to do things. So let me start in right here with this orthodontic practices webpage and article. And it really goes by here and says in a very, very succinct way, from birth, we're designed to breathe through the nose. Infants take their first breath through their noses once they are born. They also use it when they're breastfeeding. Can't exactly breathe through your mouth at that time, and they're very effective at it. And it is by far, as we will see, the most effective way to breathe for a variety of reasons. In general, those reasons include, as shown on a lot of these were dental sites. And one part of the reason why dental sites are showing this and not simply just medical sites is that mouth breathing really changes the chemistry of your mouth, making it more prone to things like decay. When you breathe in through the nose, you're creating an antimicrobial response. You're oxygenating your blood better, as well as creating nitric oxide, which goes ahead and tonifies, protects your vascular system, your veins and your arteries and your capillaries. So again, it has a lot of benefits. We'll get into those very quickly. I won't spend a lot of time on this. We'll go through some of the benefits and then go through a simple breathing exercise. And that's what this video will be about. Shouldn't be that long. I'm planning on about 10 minutes on this one, okay? So why is nasal breathing essential? It increases oxygenation in your blood by inhaling more nitric oxide. The nitric oxide is produced in your nostrils, not in your throat and nose, which is a vasodilator and bronchodilator that increases oxygen transport through your body. It also tonifies the surfaces of your vessels. It warms and moistens and filters the air with the cilia in your nose. It traps particles in nose hairs and mucous membranes. It helps reduce the likelihood of developing colds, flus, allergies, and irritating cough. It prevents nasal dryness. It helps relieve stress and calm the body as it slows breathing. Another benefit that you would never even know just thinking about it. Promotes healthy digestion. How does it do that? Well, again, by not introducing those microbes directly into your stomach / lungs, because they're connected, you're allowing it to go through the protective mechanisms in the upper respiratory tract system or your nasal system here, okay? It gets processed, as it were, if you put it through here. It's much more unprocessed if you put it through here and much more direct. It promotes proper oral rest posture, tongue against the roof of the mouth, lips closed and teeth together. It reduces the likelihood of orthodontic relapse. Again, when it has to do with, with the macular what's that thing? TMJ. I can't remember what it stands for, but that thing with your jaw, and other kinds of things. So it sets your mouth in the right position because you're breathing slower and your mouth is in the right position. All that stress that sometimes can go to your face is also dealt with. And it reduces the risk of developing snoring or sleep apnea. So there's a whole list of great general principles, but in more specific terms here, what does this do? As we see up here, the microbiome of the upper respiratory tract in health and disease. We've had such an emphasis placed on gut health. It has just been article after article, especially in the more alternative health forms. Everything's about gut. It's your second brain. But guess what? There's also a microbiome in your upper respiratory tract, which is your sinuses and your nose and right up here, okay? And that's not talked about as much. And for that, nasal breathing is absolutely critical. So I'll go down here to what I have highlighted. Many important physiological functions are provided by the upper respiratory tract, such as filtering, warming, and humidifying the air. We talked about that. The nasal cavity is in constant contact with the external environment. It acts as a physical transition, forming an interface between the external environment and the lower respiratory and gastrointestinal tract. Instead of going directly through the mouth, it processes the air in a whole number of ways, some of which we've already indicated. And if we scroll down further in this, it has a huge effect on upper immune respiratory defense system. Just like your good gut biome can help protect against disease, help your body function better, and even your brain be clearer and your mood be better, so too with the upper respiratory tract and its microbiome, okay? It has ciliated cells, goblet cells, glands, has a mucus layer. All these things work together to have antimicrobial possibilities. And again, some of that antimicrobial action is because you have the right microbes in your biome, in your upper respiratory tract. It has the nitric oxide that it's producing. Again, it's oxygenating the blood better. So again, these are all benefits of nasal breathing, of using our natural system, the one we were born with and the one we were born to use. So again, this is osteopathy, site immune protective effects of nasal breathing and nitric oxide in the time of COVID-19. Here's the critical bit here. Though there aren't really right now, because it's such a novel coronavirus, these long-term extended clinical / research studies on it. We have done studies on COVID, on nitric oxide and other forms of coronavirus, including SARS, and those have had a measurable effect, okay? The current worldwide epidemic is having an enormous effect, and we need to respond to advice given by medical authorities. General hygiene, hand washing, social distancing. We also need to take care of ourselves, okay? And just like I've always mentioned, this includes things like sleep, managing stress, eating a healthy diet, okay? And they say, while we can't say definitively that nasal breathing inhibits replication of COVID-19 virus, it seems prudent to breathe through our nose given its well-known role in general immune defense. Well, there have been some papers on this, though. Here's one of them, okay? This one has to do with ACE2 receptors. We've talked about that in other videos. Nitric oxide may play a role in either competing with or preventing the attachment of COVID-19 virus, the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And it helps to deal with also underlying factors that also play an enormous role in whether or not COVID-19 progresses to a state that gets fatal or requires hospitalization. This is especially important given all the videos that showed, I think even J.K. Rowling was one of them, that when people were doing this deep breathing, and a lot of them didn't go on ventilators, they were at home, so they did these deep breathings and were able to work through. In one of my videos, I showed a doctor that was on that original cruise ship, I think the Diamond Princess, who did this, and immediately had an effect. And these effects include not just oxygenation of the blood, not just the tonifying of this system, not only the antimicrobial effects, not only the fact that may be intervening in the ACE2 receptors and modulating that system to prevent that virus from taking off, but also think about the nerve effects, the calming effects, the whole idea of calming your system down when you're doing nasal breathing, breathing more slowly and more deeply. It has an enormous emotional effect as well, targeting that fear that many people have when they have some trouble breathing and helping to create a much more calm baseline. So it has all these benefits, and we will go over what those look like. Oops, I've already hit the 10-minute mark. Let's go ahead and go on here. So hypertension, one of these underlying conditions, is already being addressed here. This is another one, OMFT. It's an educational site. This gas, this is nitric oxide, has an antiviral effect that inhibits the replication of, among others, SARS-CoV-2 in the early stages of infection. There's a peer-reviewed publication by Ackerstrom that shows that. And another paper and a 2005 study were also consistent with the 1999 study. Here are those two studies. I won't go back, but they are real studies. They didn't just, they're peer-reviewed studies. This is by Ackerstrom et al. And she said nitric oxide inhibits the replication style of SARS coronavirus. So SARS-CoV-2, though it hasn't been exactly proven, it would be logical to extend that it would have probably some effect on that. And then finally, too, it says the dual effect of nitric oxide on SARS-CoV-2, COVID replication, viral RNA production, and so forth. So it seems to intervene with SARS-CoV replication. And even though this is novel and it's SARS-CoV-2, it does make sense that you could probably, that it would have some promising effect on that as well, because many of the mechanisms in the backbone is the same. Now, I just supplied this because it has the video with this guy who's Patrick McEwen, who has a video on this. You can go ahead and click on that if you want to learn this more in more particularity. But really, it's not that difficult in terms of knowing what to do. Oh, here's finally one thing, and we'll go right to the exercises after this. What is nitric oxide? Nitric oxide produced by nasal breathing in through the nose, hold it out the mouth, is being recognized increasingly as an important component of the host response to infection. In addition, nitric oxide and other reactive nitrogen intermediaries have a direct microbiostatic and microbicidal activities against a variety of pathogens. Nitric oxide has inhibitory effects on proteins and DNA synthesis, as well as on cell replication in microbial pathogens. And so basically, microbes, including viruses, are inhibited in terms of their synthesis, because what it's doing, it's inactivating the respiratory chain enzymes in these microbes. So it's having a direct effect on their actual chemistry. It's actually targeting them. Not on purpose, but just by being there. And you would think through evolution and other kinds of things that this targeting, if you will, is this right here. Your body learned to create these kinds of things in correspondence with creating equilibrium with the external world and creating equilibrium within our own bodies. So here's the basic method. I won't go on and on about it, but it's simply this. If you want to go ahead and do a simple breathing exercise, okay? And again, he's saying in through the mouth and out through the mouth. The reason is because if you go back out through the nose, you're breathing out a lot of the nitric oxide. Go in through the nose, you bring in the nitric oxide, you hold it, disseminates in your body, you go out through the mouth, you're not pushing the nitric oxide back out through your nose. So that's why he recommends it. Now, we can also see it in terms of if you had no mask, it may be safer to breathe out through your nose and just slowly, because it probably would have, if you're worried about infecting other people. But generally speaking, especially if you have a mask, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth is the best way. And the way is fairly simple. And I've heard this as being the 6-7-8 breathing method or the 4-7-8 breathing, but basically it's this. You breathe in by a count of 4. If you want 6, if it's easier to use 6, 7, 8, then say this to go. You hold for 7. And then breathe out for 8. Even after 1, I feel a lot more relaxed, a lot more oxygenated. Usually I recommend at least 4 of those in the morning and 4 in the evening. And I don't have a problem recommending this because it's not a medical technique or anything. It's simply just a yogic and health technique. So again, try that 4 times in the morning and 4 times a night. And I'd be curious to get your responses in the links below underneath this YouTube channel in this video. Again, thank you for supporting, watching. If you would, I would ask you that if you find this to be helpful, go ahead and click subscribe. Go ahead and hit the bell. That will bring it up automatically into your feed. And if you feel like this has really been helpful, there's a donate button too on this site. Just go ahead and click on the PayPal donate site to help to sponsor this research. I appreciate you watching. And again, thank you very much. This is Citizen Zeus signing out.